What is the true meaning of worship? Imam Ali, in Nahjul-Balagha, reveals the profound worship that will trans your understanding forever.
In the sacred teachings of Imam Ali, worship is not a set of rituals. It is a journey of the soul toward its creator. It is the
Imam Ali distinguished three types of worshippers. First, those who worship for reward, and third, this is the worship of freemen.
For every prayer, a river of gold. For every fast, a lush garden. I count them all, each promised reward. Give me my due.
Do not cast me out. I confess my sins to you. Have mercy on my soul.
Some people worship Allah out of their desire for rewards. This is the worship of traitors. Another group worships Allah out of fear. This is the worship of slaves. Yet another group worships Allah out of gratitude. This is the worship of freemen. Even if Allah had not warned those disobedient to him of chastisement, it was obligatory by way of gratefulness for his favors that he should not be disobeyed. Lord, I have not worshipped you out of fear of your hell, nor out of greed for your paradise, but I found thee worthy of being worshipped, so I worshipped thee. These profound words from Nahjul-Balagha encapsulate the essence of true worship. They reveal that the highest form of worship is not motivated by fear of punishment or desire for reward, but by the recognition of Allah's infinite beauty, perfection, and worthiness to be worshipped. This is the worship of the free, the enlightened, and the truly devoted. The roots of all spiritual, moral, and social aspects of worship lie in one thing: the remembrance of Allah and the obliviousness towards everything else. In one of its verses, the Holy Quran refers to the educative and the invigorating effect of worship and says that salat protects from unseemly acts, and that we should adhere to salat so that we may remain in His remembrance. This is a reminder of the fact that the person who prays remembers Allah and lives by the knowledge that He is always observing and watching him. He does not forget that He Himself is His servant. The remembrance of Allah, which is the aim of worship, is the burnishing of the heart and the object of its purification. It prepares the heart for the reflection of the divine light in it. Speaking of the remembrance of Allah and of the meaning of worship, Imam Ali says that certainly Allah, the Glorious One, has made His remembrance the burnishing of the hearts, which makes them hear after deafness, see after blindness, and which makes them submissive after unruliness. In all periods and times when there were no prophets, there were individuals to whom He spoke in whispers through their conscience and intellect. These sentences speak of the wonderful effect of the divine remembrance on the heart, to the extent of making it capable of receiving the divine inspiration and bringing it in intimate communion with Allah. In the same sermon are explained the various spiritual states and levels attained by the worshippers in the course of their devotional pursuit. Imam Ali describes such men in these words: "The angels have surrounded them, and peace is showered upon them. The doors of heaven are opened for them, and the abodes of bliss, of which He had informed them, have been prepared for them. He is pleased with their struggle and admires their station. When they call upon Him, they breathe the fragrance of His forgiveness and mercy." This description reveals the profound spiritual heights that sincere worshippers can attain. It shows that worship is not merely a physical act, but a spiritual journey that leads to divine proximity and the opening of heavenly doors. From the point of view of Nahjul-Balagha, the world of worship is another world altogether. Its delights are not comparable with any pleasures of the three-dimensional corporeal world. The world of worship effuses movement, progress, and journey, a journey which is quite unlike physical travel to new lands. It is a spiritual journey to the nameless city. It does not distinguish night from day because it is always drenched in light. In it there is no trace of darkness or pain, for it is purity, sincerity, and delight all over. Happy is the man, in the view of Nahjul-Balagha, who sets his foot into this world and is refreshed by its invigorating breeze. Such a man then no longer cares whether he lays his head on a silk pillow or on a stone. Blessed is he who carries out his duties towards his master and endures the hardships they entail. He allows himself no sleep at night until it overwhelms him. Then he lies down with the palm of his hand under his head as his pillow. He is among those whom the thought of the day of judgment keeps awake at nights, whose bed remains vacant, whose lips hum in Allah's remembrance, and whose sins have been erased by their prolonged, earnest supplication for forgiveness. These are the party of Allah, and surely the members of Allah's party are the ones who prosper. The nights of the man of Allah are like shiny days. Gloomy nights do not exist for the enlightened. This beautiful imagery captures the essence of the spiritual state of the devout. For them, the darkness of night is illuminated by the light of faith and remembrance. Their worship transforms their entire existence, turning even the darkest moments into opportunities for divine connection and spiritual growth. They find joy in what others find burdensome, and they find light where others see only darkness. This is the transformative power of sincere worship. In the last section, we discussed the viewpoint of Nahjul-Balagha with respect to worship. We found that Nahjul-Balagha does not regard worship as a series of cut-and-dried, lifeless rituals. The bodily movements constitute the apparent motion of worship, while its soul and meaning are something else. Only when endowed with meaning and spirit is the worship worthy of its name. Real worship means the transcending of the three-dimensional world into the spiritual sphere, which is a world of perpetual delight and sublimation for the soul, and the source of vigor and strength for the heart, which has its own pleasures. There are many references to the characteristics of the pious and the devout in Nahjul-Balagha. Often, Nahjul-Balagha sketches the profiles of the pious and the devout and describes their characteristic fear of Allah, their devotion and delight in worship, their constant sorrow and grief over sins. It describes their frequent recitation of the Holy Quran, their occasional ecstatic experiences and states that they achieve in the course of their worshipful endeavors and struggle against their corporeal self. At times, it discusses the role of worship in lifting the human soul from the pall of sins and black deeds, and often points out to the effect of worship in curing moral and psychological ailments. At other times, it speaks about the unadulterated, unsurpassable, and pure delights and ecstasies of the followers of the spiritual path, the sincere worshippers of Allah. The turning point in understanding the true essence of worship, according to Nahjul-Balagha, comes when we recognize that worship is not merely about performing rituals, but about transforming the entire being of the worshipper. Imam Ali teaches that the ultimate goal of worship is not to earn rewards or avoid punishment, but to attain nearness to Allah and to become a person who is close to the divine. This transformation is achieved through the remembrance of Allah, which burnishes the heart and prepares it for the reflection of divine light. The remembrance of Allah is not a mere verbal repetition, but a profound spiritual practice that opens the heart to divine inspiration and intimate communion with the Creator. The classification of worshippers into three types, traders, slaves, and freemen, is a profound insight that challenges us to examine our own motivations. The trader worships for rewards, the slave worships out of fear, but the freeman worships out of love and gratitude. The freeman recognizes that Allah is worthy of worship, regardless of reward or punishment. This is the highest level of worship, the worship of those who are truly free, free from fear, free from greed, and free from all worldly attachments. This is the worship that leads to true spiritual liberation and the attainment of divine proximity. The description of the devout in Nahjul-Balagha reveals that they are people who have transcended the ordinary concerns of life. They are those whose nights are spent in worship, whose days are spent in service, and whose hearts are constantly turned toward Allah. They find their delight in prayer, their comfort in remembrance, and their joy in obedience. They are the party of Allah, and they are the ones who truly prosper. This is the goal of worship, according to Nahjul-Balagha, to become part of this blessed group, to attain this spiritual state, and to experience the unadulterated delights of the spiritual path. The nights of the devout are like shiny days, and gloomy nights do not exist for the enlightened. This is a beautiful metaphor for the spiritual state of those who have truly understood the meaning of worship. For them, the darkness of the world is illuminated by the light of faith. They do not fear the night because they are always in the presence of the divine. They do not experience despair because they are constantly filled with hope. They do not know loneliness because they are always in the company of the beloved. Imam Ali's words about the remembrance of Allah as the burnishing of the hearts revealed the transformative power of worship. When the heart is burnished, it becomes capable of receiving divine light. It becomes sensitive to the whispers of conscience and intellect, which are the means through which Allah communicates with His servants. This is the ultimate goal of worship, to become so purified that the heart becomes a mirror for the reflection of divine light, a vessel for divine inspiration, and a home for divine love. The prayers of the devout are not mere recitations, but heartfelt dialogues with the Creator. They are conversations that take place in the depths of the soul, beyond the reach of words. The devout do not just pray with their tongues, they pray with their hearts, their minds, and their entire beings. Their prayers are expressions of love, gratitude, and surrender. They are acts of worship that transcend the physical realm and enter the spiritual realm. The description of the devout in Nahjul-Balagha also reveals that they are people of constant struggle. They struggle against their corporeal self, their desires, and their weaknesses. They strive to purify their souls and to attain higher spiritual states. This struggle is not easy, but it is necessary. It is through this struggle that they achieve the spiritual heights that are described in Nahjul-Balagha. They are those who have conquered their lower selves and have attained mastery over their own souls.
The role of worship in lifting the human soul from the pall of sins and black deeds is another important theme in Nahjul-Balagha. Worship is not just about performing rituals, it is about purifying the soul and removing the stains of sin. Through sincere worship, the soul is cleansed and elevated. The darkness of sin is replaced by the light of faith. The weight of guilt is lifted, and the soul is filled with the joy of divine forgiveness. This is the healing power of worship, the power to cure moral and psychological ailments. The unadulterated, unsurpassable, and pure delights and ecstasies of the followers of the spiritual path are described in Nahjul-Balagha as being beyond the comprehension of the ordinary person. These are not the pleasures of the body, but the delights of the soul. They are the joys of divine proximity, the ecstasies of spiritual communion, and the satisfactions of sincere devotion. Those who have tasted these delights no longer care about the pleasures of the world. They have found something greater, something more fulfilling, something that truly satisfies the deepest longings of the human soul. This is the message of Nahjul-Balagha on worship. It is a message that calls us to move beyond the superficial and embrace the profound. It calls us to transcend the worship of fear and reward and to attain the worship of love and gratitude. It calls us to become freemen, free from the chains of fear and greed, free from the attachments of the world, and free to worship Allah out of pure love and devotion. It is a message that has the power to transform our lives, to elevate our souls, and to bring us closer to our Creator. May Allah grant us the wisdom to understand the true meaning of worship, the sincerity to perform it with presence of heart, and the grace to walk the path of spiritual ascent toward Him. May He make us among those who worship Him out of love, gratitude, and the recognition of His infinite beauty and perfection. May He bless us with the love of the Ahlulbayt and guide us to follow their noble example. Ameen.